we're headed to the Tupelo hardware store. Do you know what's big about that, Bobby?
I do. That's where Elvis's mother bought his first guitar.
Yep. And kind of show you. Let's just take a look. There it is, right across the street. So let's head over. And I think there's going to be a lot of people in here, because there's the Graceland bus. It's here also. Well, here's a historical marker in front saying 1946. Elvis's mother Gladys brought him here to buy a bicycle. He wanted a rifle, but they compromised on a guitar. Bought it for $7.90. Let's go in and we'll show you the spot. Let's head in. All right, right up here. Right here. Yep. Stand there, Bobby. X marks the spot. Right here. There's where.
That's where he stood.
That's where he stood. It's a neat little shirt. So it's almost like walking back in time in this place. So memorabilia back there. Well, guys, I'm with Wayne, and he's going to tell us the story about this guitar.
Well, the company started in 1926, still owned by the same family, 4 generations. That's important because it takes a generational family to appreciate a role of such significance that they played. They built this building in 1941. Everything in here is still original. The flooring, these counters, the shelving, and nothing has moved since 1941. So in 1946, the best we can determine, on January the 5th, right before his 11th birthday, Elvis's mom came through that door. And
Right there.
he had earned a little money just doing little chores, and one of his teachers had given Gladys a little money for his birthday, and he saw a bicycle, but they couldn't afford it. They were extremely poor. So he came back here and stood on that spot right there. And the reason we know it is because we had a gentleman that waited on him, Mr. Forrest Bobo, that was a 20-year employee of the company, and he documented everything for the owners. So what we just don't put X's on the floor for people to stand on. And he came over here and looked, and he saw a rifle similar to that one. It was a 22 bolt action. And his eyes lit up, and he got all excited. He said, "Hey, I want that." And Gladys looked at him and said, "Hey, you ain't getting that." And according to Mr. Bobo, Elvis threw a hissy fit right here on that spot. Just absolute childish fit. Now, to give you some perspective, this is him in October of 1945. And we tend to think of Elvis as this grown man. He was a little boy back then. And so Mr. Bobo, to calm him down, found an old shipping box, very similar to this, set it behind this counter and said, "Come here, boy, sit down here." And that kind of shook him out of his little childish fit, and he came back and sat down. And there was a guitar in this counter, in this display, and so Mr. Bobo got it out for him and handed it to him. He couldn't play anything. He just strummed it a little bit. And Gladys watched him for a while after he got calmed down. She said, "You like that, don't you?" And he goes, "Yes, ma'am, I do, but I can't afford this." And she said, "Well, I'll tell you what, if you let our pastor, Brother Smith, teach you a couple of chords," and just for reference, this is Brother Smith prior to his death in 2007. And that's the pastor that was their pastor at the East Tupelo Assembly of God. She said, "If you will let Brother Smith teach you some chords, I'll help you buy that." Now, what's interesting about Brother Smith, he was only about 8 years older than Elvis. So he was not this old man. He was a fairly young man. So Elvis said, "I tell you what, I promise I'll do that." And so literally $7.90 later, they changed the history of the world as we know in music. Wow. And literally what you see go all the way back through here is the same thing Gladys and Elvis saw when they walked in. Nothing has moved since 1941.
Yeah, it's like going back in time.
Yeah. And once again, it takes a generational family to appreciate and to keep things like they are.
And that's the guitar.
This is the original guitar. This is the one that he played at Sun Studios when he recorded "It's All Right, Mama" on July the 5th, 1954. And the gentleman holding it, this fella here, he's the 4th generation owner of our business, and his dad is here. This is the 3rd generation. This gentleman here is a collector out of Memphis. His name is Larry Moss. and he is a major Elvis memorabilia collector, and he owns a guitar. This photograph was made 2017 here. He brought it down for our Elvis festival so people could see it.
That's awesome.
And all the prominence of the guitar has been established and has been verified, and it's been authenticated.
Can't put a price on that, probably.
Well, it's hard to say. You can't
Yeah.
until somebody buys it. But the only reference we really have on this is in around the fall of 1954, when Elvis started. His record came out in July the 19th, 1954. He was getting some notoriety. He was starting to do little gigs all over the Southeast. And he bought himself a used Martin D18 guitar sometime in the fall of 1954. And Martin, of course, is always the epitome of guitars, the Cadillac, if you will, the Mercedes of the guitars. That guitar sold in 2020 for $1.3 million.
Wow.
So it's no telling what the original
yeah.
would be worth. It's hard. It's almost, of course, it's irreplaceable. A lot of people have asked why did he have it restored? If he had done anything to it, it had decreased in value. So it's more valuable, just like it was, it's like it is now naturally.
Well,
So this is where it all began.
well,
This is it.
we really appreciate you telling us
Well,
that.
thank you. Appreciate you coming in and seeing us.
Thank you.
This guitar up here, this is ours. This has signatures of a lot of his entourage from the 70s, some of the early people. Whenever they come in the store, if they haven't signed it, we get the guitar down, have them sign the guitar. There's one signature up there that's the #1 Elvis fan by far, anyone in the world. His name is Edison Penna. In August of 2010, there was a mining disaster in Chile, and a gold and copper mine collapsed on 33 miners, and they were trapped for 69 days underground. One of the miners that was trapped was a guy named Edison Penna, and Edison was a Elvis tribute artist, also built himself as a Chilean Elvis, and he would entertain them to keep their mind off everything, doing Elvis impersonations, singing every Elvis song he knew. When they finally got communication lines hooked up to them, they would ask each one of them to say, hey, here's what we're doing. We're going to dig you out. What do you want to do when you get out? And they got to him. He said, I want to go to Graceland. So Elvis Presley Enterprises in Memphis heard about this, boxed up every Elvis CD, DVDs, and CD players, and DVD players, and cases upon cases of batteries, hooked up with FedEx, flew all that down to the mine site down in Chile. When they got there, of course, they bored a big hole to drop food and water down to them, so they dropped all those CDs and DVDs and players all down to them, the mine site. One of the requests the miners had is they want to know every night, tell us when does the sun come up, so they could keep track of the days. He came back and said, I want to know when the sun goes down. And the reason why, he would hold Elvis movie nights and get them all around the DVD player and plug in an Elvis movie for them to watch. And this really gave them hope, because every morning they knew what time the sun came up, and they knew shortly the sun's going down and they're going to be able to see an Elvis movie. When they got him out, they gave him a lot of the credit for keeping everybody sane. And it was the most miraculous rescue ever in the history of mining in the world. When he got out, Elvis Presley Enterprises flew he and his wife to Las Vegas. They saw an Elvis tribute show. They stayed at the Hilton, where Elvis always performed, stayed in the Elvis suite. Then they flew him into Memphis, and they were in Memphis on January the 8th, 2011. When they wrote out the big birthday cake, he got the honor of making the first cut in the birthday cake. He said, anything else you want to do? He said, I want to go to Tupelo. So he wanted to come down here, see the birthplace, and then, of course, come over here and see where Elvis had bought his first guitar. So he came in, and if you'll notice, there is a white signature on the black pick guard. It says, Heart to Elvis Penna. So when he came in, they got the guitar down and had him sign it. And the most amazing story we've had, about 2 months ago, these young people came in, and they were from Chile. I noticed they had an accent. I said, where are you from? They said, Chile. And I said, well, let me tell you a story about, are you going to talk about Edison Penna? I said, yes. They said, we know him. I said, they are part of the Elvis fan club of Chile. They were on tour of the United States, going to different places where Elvis performed. And they said every year he comes to their conferences and speaks to them. And they've all heard him, they've all met him. So I got the guitar down and had the girls, had them hold it while I took a photograph. And one of the girls looked at it and said, you notice there's some writing here on the corner, right up here. And so I looked at it, and she said, you know what it says? And I said, no, I don't. I can't read it. It's in Spanish. Well, she got real teary-eyed, and she said, this says, for me, there's nothing impossible. Penna, minor number 12. And so that you talking about an emotional moment
Oh, that's-
when she interpreted that.
That was an incredible story.
Yeah.
I had to get you on the film saying that. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear that story. Thank you so much again,
Thank
Wayne.
y'all. Hey, where y'all from, by the way?
Or from West Virginia.
Well, good.
So when you guys come here, also, you could take you home a souvenir, take home a guitar. You could buy a guitar at the same place Elvis bought
Look, he's
his.
up there watching.
There he is. There's some nice looking shirts in here. I think we'll have to pick one of those up. But just look, I mean, the floors in here, guys. I mean, this is just like going back 40, 50 years. It's all the same. They have this memorabilia up here you can buy. Some books, little postcard. There's the case. Pencils, screwdriver, keychain, guitar picks,
Mississippi to build ships,
little
help build
sticker.
ships down there. And so when he came back, he took a job.
It is really neat being here where
delivering
Elvis
groceries.
bought his guitar.
And
Once
his
again,
truck
right
was coming
there,
up
looking into
short
that
on
case.
cigarettes, and the groceries just soon burning with steam.
Look at this mural of Elvis right here in downtown Tupelo. We wanted to share with you guys a famous place here in Tupelo where 2 major concerts took place. It's a famous picture. This is the home of the Mississippi Alabama Fair. Place right here. Elvis came back here, put on a couple concerts, and it tells you on the plaque what he sang that day. But that statue is awesome. What do you think about that statue, Bobby?
It is, because it's duplicated from him standing here with his hand out.
There's a little history about the statue, but let's just walk up and see the detail of this. Just think, just thousands of people are all around here watching that. Just look at this. That. And also, people bought these bricks. So all the way around here are little tributes that you pay for. Buy you a brick, and there's still spots left if anybody wants to get a brick. There's one of Elvis's friends, Guy Harris. This is a nice, there's the back of it. Nice and peaceful right here. But back in 1956, this place was crazy with fans. And also Elvis performed here when he was 10 years old. This bench is like a little thing. I think it has a little plaque on it. Elvis was here. Donated by the Tupelo Elvis Presley Fan Club. What's this bench say? In honor of Elvis's grandchildren. Just wanted to share that with you guys this morning. Just one more look. Here's another plaque talking about Elvis returning here, and said that the proceeds from these concerts were used to buy and restore his birthplace and build the Elvis Presley Youth Center. Well guys, when we went in there, we were just going to show you a little bonus coverage where Elvis bought his guitar and Wayne came out and gave us a couple stories. What did you think about that, Bobby?
It brought tears to your eyes, didn't they? I mean, especially the story about the gentleman that helped save all those mines.
Yeah.
And they tried to keep them busy. Elvis, helped them to him.
We had to let you guys hear that. I mean, he told it to us when we weren't filming, so he had to tell it to us again because we figured you guys would enjoy that. Got a shirt in there. It was just neat being in there where Elvis got his guitar. That's what started it all, where his mother walked right through those doors and picked that up instead of a rifle. He wanted a rifle, but that was a great time. If you're in Tupelo, we think you should stop by here and maybe even get you a guitar. Buy at the same place that Elvis got his.
So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe.
Yeah, so until we meet again,
J
J and B have left the building.